Okay, that seems like a good place to start. Hi, I'm Brandy. I'm the co-owner and dyer behind Long Dog Yarn. My job is very niche, so I thought it would be fun to give you a behind the scenes peek and answer some of your questions about what it's like to be a small business owner and someone who hand dyes yarn for a living. But before we get into that, let's take a look at how we got here. So, where did Long Dog Yarn start? Well, it all grew out of the end of my graduate school career. By the time that I was finishing up my PhD, I was so over academia. I was incredibly burnt out. It had been an amazingly stressful process. I also had a lot of downtime because I was just waiting to defend. I was done with research, I was done writing my dissertation, and I was basically just waiting on a bunch of grumpy old white men to decide that my research was good enough. Here's my degree. So that spring, I had picked up a dyeing kit at a local fiber festival because I was thinking to myself, I am a poor graduate student. I very much enjoy knitting. I was working on pattern design, but it's expensive. And maybe if I dye some of my own yarn, it'll make the design side a bit more achievable and accessible. But I had zero ideas of selling the yarn or starting a business from it or anything like that. I just wanted to make myself some yarn to work on new pattern designs. But as soon as I started dyeing, I was hooked so quickly. I was obsessed with it. I was basically spending all my days working on our tiny uh, apartment stove. It wasn't even a full size stove. And then hanging up the skeins that I was dyeing in our tiny apartment bathtub to dry. And I just spent a lot of time practicing different techniques. I used some online, like YouTube videos, which there weren't very many out there, but like Nicole from Hugh Loco's videos were amazing for me and it covered like different dye techniques. And then I also was really obsessed with Madeline Tosh's speckled yarns, which were getting really, really popular at that time. And I wanted to learn how to speckle yarn like that. And so I just spent all the days leading up to my defense basically practicing dyeing yarn and figuring out color theory and color recipes and what dye styles I liked and just playing, really just playing. I was having a blast. To be able to buy more dye and to be able to buy more yarn, I needed some income. So I got a little bit lucky at the beginning because one of my shawl patterns had blown up a bit and sold a decent amount. So I had a tiny little nest egg of money from that, along with selling a few of my early skeins on Etsy that I basically used to start the business. And by the time that I finished my degree and graduated, I was like, bye, academia. I was really lucky in the timing of when I started this whole obsession. For one, I had very supportive parents who let me and Andy, who is now the co-owner of the company with me, stay with them while he finished up his degree. And so we didn't have very many expenses during that time. And they let me use their kitchen to continue dyeing yarn. And then once Andy had finished his degree, he kept going on in academia. So we had stable income from his job. And we didn't have to worry about health insurance, and I didn't have to worry about the business paying for rent and all the scary expenses. I could just invest everything that the business was making back into the business. And that really allowed us to just continue to grow. Also, Instagram was just taking off and people were starting to use it to promote their arts, and it was so much easier back then to be found on Instagram and really grow. So, a lot of support, a lot of luck, and a lot of vibes because I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have a business model really. It was just very loosey goosey, going with the flow and vibing. And it worked out. Next year will be 10 years of selling yarn, and it'll be our fourth year of having the business support us as a family. It took, a lot of hard work. I had zero experience, but also just a lot of time honing my own aesthetic, honing my skills, figuring out, what I really wanted the business to be, and slow growth, which I think was also another factor at our success. So there you have it. That's the story of how Long Dog Yarn ended up where we are today. And I hope we have another 10 years in us. I hope we continue to explore new things, grow our skills, explore new, exciting artistic avenues, play with new inspirations and ideas, and continue to build the amazing community that we've found ourselves surrounded by, and just connect with you all and share share what makes us happy, share our passions, and exploding the world with a lot of color and a love of wiener dogs. What more could you ask for? But I hope overall that this will be a fun experience, just exploring what it's like day to day to run a small business in a rather chaotic environment, and, really pursue artistic dreams, but with a dose of reality of what it goes into being an indie dyer, and how much hard work and dedication and fun we have. So I hope you'll enjoy this series. I also hope that I have the stamina to keep it up, but we'll see you next time. And if you have any questions about what it's like to run a small business and be an indie dyer, hand dyeing yarn every day, I want to hear it. Let me know what you're interested in, and hopefully, I will answer one of your questions in an upcoming video.